Thank you everyone for joining us this morning. We'll get started shortly. A few housekeeping items to get us organized. A quick reminder for everyone to keep their video off to preserve bandwidth as folks are joining from all over and some with spotty cell service. Also, please leave your audio on mute. If you have a question, please type your question to us with your name and outlet via the chat function. We will read out questions once our speakers have finished their remarks. We'll do our best to answer every question. If we don't get to your question, please follow up with us. With that, I now turn it over to Maria Pope, President and CEO of PGE.
Hello, and thank you for joining us again today for a media briefing. And thank you for your patience with all of the technical challenges that we had yesterday. I'm Maria Pope, President and CEO of Portland General Electric, and I'm joined today by Gail Goodman, Director of Utility Operations, and Quentin Gaddis, our Senior Manager of Substation and Meter Operations. Where do we stand today? To date, we have restored power to approximately 567,000 customers. We also have approximately 100,000 customers still without electricity. And we announced an important milestone yesterday that we will be able to restore all but about 15,000 customers by the end of Friday night. Customers in this final stretch are those at the epicenter of the storm, people who have been hardest hit by this area. Many of them are in Silverton, residents of Canby, Woodburn, as well as Sublimity and Staten. Additionally, crews that are working there are doing both damage assessment work as well as restoration work. This is happening so we can get clarity on the issues that we're facing, as well as restore power as quickly as possible. So for example, just yesterday in the Clackamas River Valley, in a remote area, we learned that an additional 60 poles had fallen over. This work is extensive. We have hundreds of people working in the field right now, a total of 300 crews, which includes our line crews, our vegetation management crews, safety crews, and many others. Behind them is over 2,000 people supporting them with the engineering, the supply chain management, and all the support services to get your power on as fast as possible. And I'd like to reiterate that for customers, please visit our website. We've improved the visibility to where we're working, as well as we'll have better estimations on restoration times as we move forward and reduce the uncertainty that we're facing in the field. So with that, let me turn it over to Quentin Gaddis, and then Quentin will turn it over to Dale. Quentin?
Thank you, Maria. I appreciate it. As Maria said, since February 11th, we've had all hands on deck. Right now, we have all of our crews focused on the hard hit areas. The focus right now is the southern and eastern regions. We have a total of 180 crews out trying to work as hard as they can to get the power on for the customer. Within those regions, 150 are deployed to the hardest hit areas, which 56 we actually have right now in the Gresham area. We have 24 in the Canby Woodburn area, 18 in the Oregon City area, in the Milwaukee area. And all of those folks are working hard to get the lights on for you. We've made good progress. Since last Friday, when the first wave of the historic 3-wave storm hit, we've restored 300 miles of transmission lines, 226 distribution lines, which involve over 40 miles of power lines. Though we still have 9 transmission lines remaining to restore, the system to its pre-storm state, the PGE substations have been restored and are able to provide power to the distribution lines as those lines are repaired. And that is a good thing, because right now that's our system stability. Right now, what I'll do is I'll turn it over to Dale Goodman to finish.
Thanks, Quentin. First, I'd like to talk a little bit about public safety. We've had reports of some of the public touching some downed wires, and out of frustration or impatience. And I want to make sure that you all understand that that is very dangerous, and do not do that. We understand that folks are frustrated and customers want their power back and they want these lines out of their way, but do not touch these wires. We're going to have to be patient. We will get to you, and continue to call us, and we will respond as quickly as we can. We have crews to respond 24 hours a day to those kind of issues. We have hundreds and hundreds of those small issues out there. So please do not touch anything that's down. Also, I would ask the public to please consider before you approach a crew that's working, that's very distractive to the crews. And maybe think of it like texting and driving. It just takes a few moments if you look at your phone and do something that requires your attention to be driving. And that's the same thing for those crews. They're working around live power, and they're in very dangerous situations. So please, before approaching a crew, understand that that's very distractive to the crews. So I thank you in advance for that. As we think about the storm, and I want to talk a little bit about and remind everyone on ways that we prepare for storms. Annually, we inspect 3,300 miles of lines. We prune 250,000 plus trees and proactively replace aging equipment every single year. Year-round resiliency is our mission, and keeping the lights on is our mission. We want to reduce outages. We want to accumulate growth in our area and allow better integration for renewable resources. Since the beginning of the storm, we restored 228 distribution lines, or feeders, we would call them in our business, and we have 11 left to repair. So it's an outstanding effort by all of the 200 crews that we have out there doing the line work, the hot work. And as Maria mentioned, we have targeted Friday night to have the power restored for 90% of our customers. And as a typical restoration, we'll see large groups of customers restored when bigger lines come back on, and we'll see smaller numbers of customers restored as the number of people for each line gets smaller. For instance, would be, Maria mentioned the poles down in Clackamas County. Those poles won't be up by Friday night. But what the crews are working hard to do is to backfeed those circuits to those homes that they can, that circuit fed as much as they can. So we're looking for all kinds of solutions, engineered solutions, field solutions, as we confront the catastrophic damage that's occurred to our service territory. Crews are turning back on power just as fast as they can. We know there's a lot of questions about the areas that were hit the hardest, and this likely to restore at the end of the effort. And as Maria mentioned, Woodburn, Canby were the epicenter of the storm, and so they sustained tremendous damage. And I want to assure you that we have more than 1,100 personnel that are working on the storm around the clock. And we're going to continue to work around the clock until we have every customer restored. With that, I want to hand it back to Maria or to facilitator for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. We have any questions?
We do. First question comes from Rachel Alexander. And she is asking for a timeline around, oh no, sorry, that's not Rachel. Sorry, first question is from Genevieve from K2. What is the timeline estimate for those last remaining customers who will not have power by Friday night?
That's a really good question. We will continue working 24/7 all through the weekend and into next week to ensure that those customers get their power on as quickly as possible. And we will have more information as we are able to discover the extent of the damage. In some instances, we have gotten into areas what are relatively remote or have just a tremendous damage, and it is taking us longer to restore power. In some instances, we're finding pleasant surprises and we're able to get the power on quickly. We're doing that assessment now, and we'll have more information for you in the coming days.
Next question is from Jim Redden at the Portland Tribune. The PUC requires utility companies to trim tree branches away from power lines. Everyone can see limbs on lines on almost every tree. Could PGE have done more trimming to mitigate the damage of the storm?
We trimmed all of the trees every year. As many of you know, you can see our crews out there, as well as contractors trimming along roads, right-of-ways, and others. What happened in this 1 in a 40-year storm is that trees absolutely fell over onto our lines, and the level of damage of flying limbs was way outside of what we call the right-of-way. We could be trimming and taking out more trees and expanding the right of way in the future, but clearly that's a discussion that we'll have to have with many stakeholders going forward. But Portland General spends millions and millions of dollars every year trimming trees, and we take it very seriously because it not only protects our power lines during periods like this, but also during high fire danger times.
Next question, Cale William from the Oregonian. I've received emails from customers who were told that power was restored to their residence only to return home and find that service was still out. How can that happen?
You know, we are very sorry for several instances where that has taken place, where we have automatic meter readers through our automated readers, and they are giving us bad information, and then that is being conveyed to our customers. Through yesterday and today, we're spending a lot of time addressing that issue, and our hearts go out to those who've returned home and still do not have their power on. I'm sorry, and we're addressing it as fast as possible.
Next question from Lindsay Nadrich. Since we've had so many incidents this year, including wildfires, do you have enough materials to do the work?
You know, the amount of materials and manpower that is being deployed right now, and the amount of manpower and materials that was deployed in September during the high wind and wildfire events is truly staggering. And the benefit of being a utility is that we have utility peers who we are leaning on, not only to supplement our manpower and our inventory, but to use their power poles, their cross arms, their wire, other materials to ensure that supply chain issues are not a problem as we restore power. We are grateful to our peer utilities and for their help.
Genevieve had a follow-up question, and that is, of the last remaining customers who will not have power by Friday night, do we have a time estimate for that?
We're working on that, and we'll get that out as absolutely soon as possible. You know, like people who have returned home not to find their power on, we want to make sure that we have a good sense of accuracy, and the unknown, given the magnitude of this 1 in 40-year storm, is still out there. So we are working on that as quickly as possible. We'll have some updates for you tomorrow at another press briefing, but I don't know whether we'll be able to have all the information at that time. Please go to our website, which we are updating regularly with the latest information.
Next question, I've got a couple of questions here from a couple different people around. Are we considering varying lines to avoid instances like this?
You know, that is a really good question, and one that we ask ourselves often and talk with community leaders and others, particularly in urban centers and other areas. We have buried a lot of power lines. I will tell you that just burying power lines does not take away the risk that takes place during an event like this. Transmission lines, others came down at unprecedented rates during this storm. And that's what has made our restoration so difficult. As Quentin and Dale told you, the amount of high transmission lines, the complexity of that restoration is what took a fair amount of time at the beginning of our restoration efforts. And now that's completed, and all of our substations are operating. So we're going literally house by house and area by area, restoring power to the thousands of customers still remaining.
Follow-up from Lindsay from Coin. Can you be more specific about the areas that fall into that last set of customers without power that will be the last to have the power restored?
Lindsay, that's a great question, and we will get you information as soon as we have it and have done that discovery, as well as some of that repair work to get to those customers. I want to make sure to reiterate Dale's point. Safety of all the crews out there working, our customers and the communities, is our highest priority. And we want to make sure as we do this that we're remaining safe and take the time so that no one is hurt in the process of this restoration.
We've got a question here from Representative Alonso. Many of our constituents have complained have not felt PGE has done enough to communicate with them. Can you share with me your plan to make sure all people feel like they're being informed?
Representative Alonso Leon, thank you so much for the question. We've taken your feedback. We've significantly improved our website. We are doing our very best to improve communications. Like many of our customers in the community, we have been stretched with communications also that have been damaged during this storm. And we're working through these issues and taking your feedback. Thank you.
Another one from Lindsay at Coin. We've heard people are threatening workers because they're frustrated their power is still out. Has this been an issue for our crews?
You know, people are very frustrated, and please know that we appreciate the feelings of frustration and the anger that is taking place. I would say that I am heartened by the thank yous that our crews have gotten in the field. Some have delivered coffee, some have delivered Subway sandwiches and lunches. We've had others have been thanked by people as they have driven by and are doing their work. Please stay away from the crews. Their work is dangerous, but please say thank you. They're working incredibly long hours and under very difficult conditions, and particularly today, and all the rain creates additional unknowns and concerns around safety. We're just looking for some more questions.
Can you give any sense of people within the city limits should have power by Friday night?
Yeah, that's
Portland city limits.
Yeah, that's a good question. There are certainly some areas within the city that have had tremendous damage. And those are harder to get to and get that taken care of. But we're working as hard as possible to get as many customers as we possibly can down to about 15,000 by the end of Friday night.
Brad Ford from KEXT, what could have been done to prevent transmission lines from being taken down?
Boy, the order of magnitude of this storm, it's very difficult to say. This storm and some of the pictures that you can see is really devastating. Storms like this happen with hurricanes in other parts of the country, but it is not something that we see very often in our area. As a utility, we do after action investigations and reports on all incidents, and we will learn from this storm as we do from every event that takes place.
Jim Redden from the Portland Tribune has another question. The PUC always reviews after event reports of any blackouts. Do you believe a larger review is required after this event is over because it was so much more widespread than previous outages? You know, that's a really good question. We have been keeping the Public Utility Commission updated on a regular basis and have briefings with them daily. We also are working with them on safety matters as well as other issues, making sure that we're all working together and they understand the magnitude of the issues here. And we will continue to move forward collectively and continue to learn as much as we can from this event, the same way that we took very significant learnings from the wildfire events and from all prior events. At every point, we seek to improve. Another follow-up. Are you still confident in the 90% of customers will have power back tomorrow?
You know, given the unknowns, we're as confident as we can be. But in response to the representative's comments and questions around needing to give customers more sense of understanding of where we were with the restoration efforts, we're doing our very best at this point in time without giving people bad information. We feel good about where we are, but please know between now and Friday night, there's a tremendous amount of work to do and a lot of people in the field, as well as back in line crew centers and other staging areas supporting those crews. We still have a tremendous amount of work to do. And as Dale noted, it is critical that we do this work safely, not only for the crews and the people doing the work, but for our customers and the communities.
Tim Gordon from KGW asks, is there any help that you can provide those who will not have power for days in terms of generator, power, water delivery, those with pumped, et cetera, or are you working with agencies to help?
So we're working with many local communities. In fact, we have probably half a dozen people embedded in emergency operating centers and in city town halls or community groups. I myself have spoken to a lot of these leaders and managers, and we do make sure that those that are most vulnerable are prioritized to make sure that we can get their electricity on as fast as possible. We focused a lot on water treatment facilities, sewer systems, hospitals right out of the gate to ensure that critical systems were there for the communities.
Another follow-up question from Lindsay. Do we have a sense of what counties will be in that 15,000 that won't have power on by tomorrow night?
We will be getting that information updated on our website. And between now and Friday night, we will be learning more. We'll be doing a lot more work. And we are focused on getting everyone's power on as fast as possible. I assure you that we will not stop working as hard on Saturday and on Sunday as we are today and tomorrow and getting people's power restored. We will continue putting everything we can, working collaboratively with peer utilities and with others to ensure everyone's power gets safely restored.
Tim Gordon has a follow-up. Can you repeat how many customers are still without power?
It's about 100,000 customers are still without power.
Slowing down on questions. Here's another one. Maria, can you tell more about what people can find on the web around checking your service connection to help shorten the repair times?
Dale, do you want to address that, or Quentin, do you want to address that in terms of what can customers do to have things go a little faster and when we're restoring power for customers?
Sure. If you have a weatherhead that's been damaged at your residence, you need to contact a local electrician that can help you repair that so that when the crews arrive, that won't slow down your restoration. PGE has a list of approved contractors that you can contact through our customer care and to help you out with securing that.
Back to the question around what agencies we're working with. Are we working with the Red Cross or others?
Yes, we work with the Red Cross. We've been in contact with the National Guard. We've worked with the governor's office. We've worked with many other state and local agencies. I want to really say how much I appreciate ODOT coming together to help us as we've had to cross significant highways as well as other roads. We've had cooperations across the board from agencies. Everyone through this period of time has pulled together to ensure that we can get electricity on as fast as possible for customers we serve, the communities, and also making sure that our most vulnerable are taken care of. I am really heartened by our local community leaders and their dedication.
There's a question here from Rachel Alexander around bill support. How do you manage bill support for customers that experience an outage? Do they get a credit, et cetera?
So please, if you are struggling paying your bill, please call or access our information through our web site or through our automated IVR system. It's really important that we help get people connected with the right kind of support. The company has support to help you with your bills. There's the state of Oregon has support to help you with your bills, and there's federal support to help you with your bills. But if people aren't calling, we are not going to be able to connect you to the support that we need and have access out there. From the very beginning of the pandemic, Portland General Electric recognized the hardships that many in our community were under. And so we put together unprecedented level of support and programs for not only for our residential customers, but also for our business customers. So please reach out and access that help. In some instances, we are proactively reaching out to customers who have high bills to try and get them hooked up, but it would really be helpful if you know of someone, help get them help on their bills. Thank you.
We've got one final question also from Rachel. A number of Salem customers have asked why their accounts are displaying the outage cause is unknown or that no crew has been dispatched. Why is that information not available?
You know, that's a good question, and we'll probably check on it unless Dale or Quentin have any insights with regards to the Salem outage map and any inaccurate information that might be shown there.
I would need to have more specifics to answer it accurately.
Why don't we follow up and we'll get back to you.
Okay, I think that's it.
Great. Thank you all for joining us today. Please know how seriously we take this incident. We are putting every resource we have at our company, as well as our peer utilities and agency and state partners, to restoring power. We are grateful to the help that everyone has given us, and we're working hard 24/7 to get your power back on. Thank you very much. We look forward to giving you an update tomorrow as well. Thank you.
Thank you.